My father was a pharmacist. He put himself through school. They were both immigrants. My mother was from Chernobyl, actually, and she came across illegally. I think she was always worried about the immigration problem, but she eventually became a citizen. No, they were not activists. They were sympathizers. They were Jewish immigrant sympathizers, and had friends who were both Zionists and communists. And they all used to come to parties, birthday parties and stuff, and argue a lot. And I remember being kind of fascinated by that as a child, about the passion that was going into those arguments. I went to High School of Performing Arts, and I just started reading about Monthly Review. I remember there was a guy behind me in class, and he read Monthly Review, and I said, "What's that?" He said, "This is a very good magazine about economics." So I just became interested in that socialist thought.
You were also interested in music?
Oh, all the time. I practiced the piano from when I was 5 and 6. My mother gave me piano lessons. I had piano lessons from a Swiss-French piano teacher. They used to come around. So I played a lot of Debussy and a lot of Ravel and Fauré and all that. Not knowing what I was doing, really, but I'm just dutifully practicing. And I always got attention for my piano playing, which I never got for my political theories or anything. Trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, way after high school, and then I went to New England Conservatory, and I spent time in Paris, and coming back here, I just felt that there was a way that my life was branching in two different ways. It was my classical music, which I adored, and my Beethoven and everything like that, and my political proclivities, which brought me to a very different place where most of the people didn't really care too much about classical music. And I just thought that one of the ways I wanted to do with my music was to find a way to synthesize my political ideas in my music and bring them together. I came back and lived on the Lower East Side. There was a lot of alternative culture going on. There was a lot of small stores. There was a lot of, and it was the hippie movement. It was the civil rights movement. It was the women's movement that started. Everything seemed to be developing at the time, and being on the Lower East Side was a nice place to be. I remember Angela Davis. I remember doing a concert and asking some of my people in the Women Musicians Collective if they wanted to join me in a concert for Angela Davis, and they said, sure, we'd love to, and they came and we did a classical concert for Angela Davis. My daughter went to Liberation Nursery, and what we did is that we took turns watching the children.
So it was a cooperative?
It was a cooperative, and I used to play guitar there, and I would bring my guitar in, and they got a beat-up piano there, so I would do all these dances, and the little ones just hopped and jumped and loved it. The musical little ones. The other ones would, walk around with bats, and so life went on, and then I was working at 3rd Street Music School, and I formed the Children's Musical Theater because then I had a daughter, I had a child. She loved to sing, she was very talented. So what could I do to involve not only her, but more kids? So I broached the leadership of the school with that idea. They liked it a lot. So we started doing We Live in the City, a little musical. We did Tommy Pitcher. We did The Fire Maid. We did all kinds of musical operas with 45 kids that I would not really audition. I just took them in. And I got a stage director, and we did performances that were really very well attended by this community. I had a dear friend who lived on 2nd Avenue, Eric Benson, for which I named the concerts. I named the concerts the Benson Series. And he was a wonderful tenor and a stage director and a dear friend. And he died in '88, I think it was. What could I do? So I thought, well, why don't I do a concert for the benefit of composers who were suffering from AIDS? And then lots of people came up to me and wanted me to do their music who were sick. So I said, sure, you know, and then every December 1st, which was called at those days, Day Without Art, but December 1st was the day, I used to organize a concert of composers that were ill with AIDS or that had died and find their music and put together a program. And audiences really showed up for that because there were a lot of friends and relatives that were really suffering at those days, didn't really know what was going on. And so the music, I thought, just was a way of bringing together all these people and all these feelings, and keeping alive the music of composers who died too young. I also made a War and Pieces series. I did that really with the Iraq War when it came in. I called it War and Peace first, and then I changed it to War and Pieces. And I found a lot of repertory that had to do with peace or with things by Kurt Weill from Three Penny Opera, and that were very acerbic and very cutting edge. And I presented entire concerts around that thematic idea. So it was my way, in a sense, I mean, gradually, of finding a way to synthesize some of my ideas, which seemed to just be hanging there, just in demonstrations, and my music, which also seemed to be just not really, and bringing them together and being able to present them to people to show the tie-ins. I want to say to young activists that you should never lose the path. Don't lose the vision. If it gets discouraging, it's okay. That's part of life. Discouragement is part of life. You really need to just stay strong and to really always be kind and good in your pursuit of your ideology.